So Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is a 2023 movie directed by James Mangold. It is coming out in a very crowded summer with lots of other big releases, including Mission Impossible, Barbie, Oppenheimer, The Flash. Funny that this movie did not make a lot of money. It isn't really funny, but I thought it was odd because Jurassic World Dominion made so much money last year. They're the same studios. They have a lot of similar qualities going for them, both produced by Spielberg, based on a Spielberg property, kind of a big adventure movie, Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy producing type of picture. But the odd thing is that this movie didn't make money. No one really went to see it. I think there are some bigger factors behind that if we want to look at that as opposed to Jurassic World. Jurassic World really benefited from nostalgia, but it also had a kind of modern appeal. The dinosaurs were the draw. Chris Pratt was a draw. It obviously was not a great movie, but for some reason people went to see that one more. I think maybe because they just thought that Jurassic World would be more fun. Indiana Jones is fun. It's doing exactly what you expect a blockbuster to do. People are talking now about how the tentpole blockbuster is kind of sagging. Well, I don't think that's necessarily true unless you make like a bad movie. Look at Tom Cruise, look at Mission Impossible. I haven't seen the new one yet, but I'm assuming based on those behind-the-scenes videos of him screaming at everyone, that the actual behind-the-scenes footage of, the stunts they filmed, that Mission Impossible is going to be a movie that's going to be better. It's going to have a weight, kind of just more weight to it. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny doesn't have that, and that is very evident, and let's talk about that. First of all, I think the first 30 minutes of this movie represents what could be the future of movies, and that's not a good thing. It has a 30-ish minute, opening sequence. I mean, it felt like 30 minutes, but it's probably only like 20, where we follow young Indiana Jones when he's at Nuremberg Castle, and he discovers Athrachia, I think that's what it's called, the Dial of Destiny, Archimedes' dial. It is this really incredible ancient relic the Nazis are hunting down. They have a ton of art stowed away in this castle, and they're ready to take everything to try and save it because they're losing the war. And Indiana Jones finds this dial, and it then reveals that Mads Mikkelsen's character, a guy named Voller, a very, very, very bland villain. Now, I know the first one also had the glasses Nazi guy. I remember a famous scene where the face melts. But I feel like in this one, it's so kind of empty. Like, the villains in this, you have Boyd Holbrook, who's got doing his own shtick. He's fun. You could tell James Mangold probably likes working with him after Logan. But it's kind of the same thing with Logan, where there isn't really, like, a villain that's like, wow, here's the villain. It's just like, Nazis gotta run from the Nazis, and it really felt like that the whole movie, and I didn't like that. I didn't like how there was never, like, a moment where the stakes really feel like they're amped up. On top of that, it is so consistently safe. Like I said, the first 30 minutes represents everything that's going to be wrong with modern movies or the future. Like, I seriously think this represents a bad case of taking you out of it, because when they de-age Harrison Ford, you can tell that's not Harrison Ford. It looks like he's a video game character, and I'm not kidding. It reminded me of Robert De Niro in The Irishman, where you're just looking at him and you're like, that's not Harrison Ford, or that's an actor, and they put his face on it, and it just feels so odd to me to watch. So on top of that, I actually don't mind the old man Indy adjusting to, modern society. He doesn't care about the moon landing. I love how his first scene is him yelling at his neighbors. I think you could actually get this to work. I think not really a twist, but the spoiler alert here, it's not really a big spoiler, but the reveal with Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, where that she's kind of a con artist, or she is trying to con Indy, I like that, because I was kind of thinking it would be boring if she just all of a sudden found him and they just go on this adventure together. Like, it kind of does go a different route than I expected. However, it's so bland. And the characters in this are just like video game characters. Like, they just appear for a couple seconds. Antonio Banderas' Frogman is just in this for a couple seconds. Huge spoiler alert here. When he dies and Indiana Jones says, like, my friend was just murdered, it is, I don't know if that's intentionally hilarious. It's so unintentionally funny, though, because Phoebe Waller-Bridge is, like, cracking a joke, and he's just like, my friend just died. But it's even funnier because it's Antonio Banderas, and also because Antonio Banderas was, like, not in the rest of the movie. You have, like, John Rhys Davies in this. You have Toby Jones making an appearance. It's got so many bits and pieces where we just stop and go and look at this set piece and go and look at this set piece, and it's, like, cool, but there's no weight to it. And you know what, guys? The fact that they shoot so much of this in the dark, I hate it. I hate that because you could tell it's all CG. You could tell it's done on a blue screen, or that the actors aren't actually riding a train over a cliff. Like, Gore Verbinski's Lone Ranger, a movie that everyone fucking shits on, has better set pieces. I mean, they actually shoot in the desert. They actually shoot on a bridge. The stuff looks incredible in that movie. If you look at Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, it's just so not good looking. You can tell it was all shot indoors, and there's something that just takes me out of it completely. Maybe, I think that's the difference between the people who see The Flash and Flash is a 10 out of 10. It just looks horrible and has awful dialogue, and the acting is okay. But, the difference here is you have a movie that could have all this great stuff. It's $200 million, yet it's just very safe. You can tell there's really no weight to it. And on top of that, I found so many of the characters to be uninteresting. The little kid character, so boring. Why even include him? It's just crazy because you have a great character like Short Round, or an iconic character, and then you have this modern Short Round who's just what are they doing? He's just in here, this little kid, he's miserable, just driving along Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I mean, honestly, I feel like they needed younger people to, anchor the movie through. It can't just be an old Indiana Jones. I get that, but you could do better. This movie is so, safe and at times boring, and I really wish they had gone that better route of getting just more thrilling set pieces. I really think the first hour is the best stuff we have, and then once they leave the country and they're just looking for the MacGuffins, it becomes really bad. They needed to have increased the tensions, increased the stakes, made more interesting side characters. Everything just feels so not interesting. And, I mean, it could have been better. Star Wars does a better job at establishing more crazy set pieces and more interesting side characters. So this could have done that. It has the same producers. It just feels like you can tell that this is the one Indiana Jones film Spielberg did not make. And James Mangold did the best with what he could, but in the end, it's okay. So guys, what do you think of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? Let me know. Thank you for watching my review.